Cheers.
Right.
Cheers.
Oh,
Cheers.
cheers.
Oh,
I didn't get it.
Listen to that sound.
Out of everybody.
Oh, and some ice. Welcome to the Movie Podium, a weekly podcast where we collectively choose a movie to watch, and at the end of the week, we get together and talk about it. It's kind of like a book club.
But for movies.
But for
movies.
We also came up with a set of questions to ask ourselves, such as, is this a podium movie or top 3 in the year of its respective release? This week's film is another film in our time travel tournament, and without further ado, we present our next movie.
This is my boomstick!
Now, let's talk about how I get back home. Army of Darkness.
Yeah, going through time, fighting for deadites in the past, then coming back to the present and fighting on some more, yeah.
I really like that.
yeah.
That one started out with yeah. That was good. That
And
was
it
my
ended
favorite
with
part.
a really little yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
That was good.
Well, I'm your host, Matt Scott. I'm here with my dudes, Eric,
Hello.
Daniel,
Ew.
and hello, John.
Hello, John.
Hello, John.
Hello, John.
Hello, John.
Something froze on my end for a sec.
No, it didn't.
Oh, okay.
Matt just didn't say anything.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, hello.
I just waved and pretended I was that John. Ready for some random ass facts about Army of Darkness?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I copy
Cool.
Colin.
So, as we mentioned, this is another movie in our time travel bracket. It's actually pulling out a pretty big upset against Groundhog Day right now, being a 14 versus a 3 seed. We had over,
Ooh.
I want to say, about 400 total votes for this one, which is by far the most we've had. And so I think there's a pretty big following for Army of Darkness. I'm pretty excited to see how we talk about this. But for our first random ass fact, it got a 7.4 on IMDb.
Is that higher than Thor?
It is higher than Thor. Believe it or not.
You
By
think
how
we'd
much?
know by now.
By 4/10.
So it's like a 1.1 Thor on the Thor scale.
On the Thor scale.
Yeah.
So there was an alternate ending. I don't know if you guys knew about this. I think it might have been on like one of the DVDs or director's cuts. But there was an alternate ending in which Ash wakes up in a post-apocalyptic future. And so they actually wrote and shot it. And apparently it was supposed to set the stage for an Evil Dead 4. And it's where Ash is supposed to lead against the Deadites. And they're like robots. And it's like some real super futuristic. Apparently it was real dark. And test audiences thought it was too depressing.
They didn't like the original ending to Clerks either.
Yeah. What was the original ending to Clerks? Why
He
am I
gets shot.
blanking?
Dante
yeah.
gets shot and dies.
That's right.
Someone comes and robs him and shoots him
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
a
that
day
was a
he's
huge
not even
downer.
supposed to be there.
Oh, that's right. Wow, I totally
I think I like
forgot about that.
that they didn't go with that. I have to agree with the test audience.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of times where over the last year where we've talked about the test audience, and a lot of times they're right. It's like, oh, yeah, wow. I can imagine. I think it was, I remember in Major League, they originally wanted Rachel Phelps to be like an anti-hero. Like at the end, she's supposed to say, oh, haha, I did it. But they realized that she needed to be a villain.
Yeah, I
So-
remember that. Yeah.
So, like, I think the test audiences get it right a lot of times.
Doing God's work.
This one's interesting. The battles were so expensive or became so expensive, and clearly this was not a high budget. Yes, high budget compared to the other Evil Deads.
I want to know, where in the hell were they filming? It seemed like the middle of nowhere.
I have
in,
no
like, a
idea,
desert.
actually. I did not see that.
My guess would just be California.
Yeah, or Arizona or some
Yeah.
desert. location.
Yeah, that was before like a lot of the modern like tax break incentive bidding wars have been going on.
Yeah, exactly. And so this budget was not high, but some of these action scenes required quite a bit of money. So the ending scene that they had to shoot again, or the new ending, was funded by Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, and producer Rob Tapert. They spent over $1 million of their own money, and this was in 1992 when, these guys aren't super rich. They're not Michael Bay
Yeah.
funding his own stunts. Like they coughed up $1 million just to get to that ending to where they wanted it to be.
Scraped
have
it
a-
together.
I have an update on where they filmed this.
Oh,
they
cool.
filmed it in Bronson Canyon in Vasquez Rocks Natural Area Park, and that is in Los Angeles, California.
Nice, Daniel.
Good call, Daniel.
Yeah.
Griffith
It
Park.
just reminded me a lot of the scene from Austin Powers 2 where they're driving the Jaguar and like the background's rolling by and Austin Powers says something to the effect of like, it's amazing how the English countryside looks nothing like Southern California, and then like looks directly at the camera.
It breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
That's
thinking
And like
the same thing.
deadpan's like,
Sorry, Daniel.
No,
but
you're
yeah, I
fine.
was thinking the same thing. I'm like, this is supposed to be medieval Europe. I assume it must be like Southern Europe or someplace.
Yeah, exactly.
except for the fact that it's supposed to be like King Arthur, and those guys all have like English and Scottish accents.
I know. I mean,
Right,
there's-
yeah, he's like the king of the north, or the duke of the north people. Doesn't look
Yeah.
quite north, but oh well.
I was gonna say I don't. There's a lot of nitpicking on that end for sure.
Yeah, this is not a movie to watch with your brain on. I don't think.
No, zero. I thought this was funny. It was released in Japan as Captain Supermarket,
It's hilarious.
and
That's good.
And I guess S-Mart is a chain of grocery stores in Mexico.
Really?
Yeah, I love the slogan.
Shop
Yeah.
that smart.
Shop
I
Or
love
smart.
Smart. Shop at smart.
I love it. So, Daniel,
I've got,
you got one? All right,
Yeah.
let's hear it.
Duke Nukem 3D stole a lot from this movie. A lot of Duke Nukem's one-liners are literally just Ash sayings.
Yep.
Like a lot of them.
And I remember a few years later, they came out with the Evil Dead video game, and it was like playing Duke Nukem. That was off of Evil Dead. It was real weird.
Yeah, that that Evil Dead video game was a lot of fun. Like it
was. It
wasn't,
was really
it wasn't
good for
groundbreaking
PlayStation
or
2.
anything, but it was like I had a great time playing it. It was fun gameplay, and it was
Yep.
the Evil Dead. So I was like, yeah,
It was awesome.
yeah.
I liked it a lot. One fact I found that I thought was pretty interesting, or probably obvious, is clearly this isn't a huge plot. There was a grand total of 43 pages for the original script. That's it.
And
That's
I
it.
believe the general equation is 1 page equals 1 minute
Yeah.
on film. So
Yeah.
that would be 43 minutes of plot.
And
Nice.
an hour of nothing.
I would love to read the parts that are not dialogue, but like, all right, in this part, you're going to have bunches of skeletons getting crushed
Yeah.
with sounds of bike horns and other funny noises.
All right, last one. So, Klamath vert Nictu, which are the words needed to retrieve the Necronomicon, is is a homage to a phrase used in the classic sci-fi movie The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is the second time it's used in popular media. Anyone else recognize those words in a popular film? I'll even give a hint. It's a number 3 in a trilogy.
What is the phrase again?
Klamath vert Nictu,
No idea.
or it's Klamath vert Nictu. This was uttered by
I thought it was like
Barada.
Ebbard. Sorry.
No, there's like they twisted the phrase a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
The original phrase is that.
Okay.
And it was spoken by Barada, one of Jabba the Hutt's employees in Return of the Jedi.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a very random ass fact.
Yes, it is. It sure is. I saw that one. It's like, oh, I wonder if we'll get the Star Wars here. But it's very random. All right.
Oh,
Ready for some-
you actually kind of tricked us a little because you said it's the third in the trilogy, which I guess is technically correct. So I was thinking, all right, it's something 3.
Right. That's how I think of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. I'm a little slow. Well, yeah, I'm just, all right, number 3, because
Yeah.
I'm slow.
No, it's fair. All right. Ready for some questions?
Let's do it.
All right. First question. Favorite thing about the movie? Let's go to John first.
I mentioned it in our text earlier, but how like bite-sized it is, and there's nothing a whole lot to the story. It's just like what you see is what you get. It's a fun, like, I guess, what do you call it? Like comedic horror, or
Yep.
I don't know exactly how you classify it, but I just thought it was a fun, as you said, not a lot of plot, just watching gags and cool, sometimes funny action, like skeletons getting launched and exploding. So it was just a real good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel?
Speaking of horror, I have a top 5.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's cool.
Whoa.
I have my top 5 horror movies.
Wow.
Ooh.
Number
There
5,
it is.
I'm going with the prequel to this one, The Evil Dead 2.
Nice.
Okay.
Which they wrap up really succinctly at the beginning of the movie, so you don't really need to have seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, that little wrap up scene is pretty good.
Yeah. It is.
Number 4 is The Omen. It's all for you,
Yes.
Damien. Number 3 is the original Night of the Living Dead. I love that movie, even though it's black and white. Like, it's just like so good at what it does.
There's a vibe to it.
Yeah,
With it being
yeah.
black and white.
A lot of horror movies don't have their own significant feeling to them, and that one has its own feeling to it.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Number 2 is The Shining.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of my favorites ever.
Yeah,
Here's
me too.
Johnny. It's a wonderful movie.
Your dad going crazy on you? What could
Yeah.
be scarier?
Yeah.
Fair.
And my number 1 horror movie of all time is Halloween.
Nice.
Because Halloween is terrifying without the need for gore. And I have a soft stomach. So, like, extremely gory movies don't do it for me.
Yep.
So, the fact that there's not a lot of gore in that movie whatsoever, and it's still terrifying, and the tension just ramps up until the very end, it's an amazing movie.
Nice.
Nice.
Good.
Nice list.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. And as for the best, I love that this is a classic Raimi movie. It is campy as fuck. That is exactly what I wrote down. It is camera, zooms and running through the forest and, following a arrow all the way from the beginning to its intended target in like a third person motion. Like it is
like you're
just,
riding the arrow.
yeah, it is just, I mean, the skeletons going like, uh-oh, and then exploding. Like everything about it is just so campy and fun, and it's just something that you don't see a lot in horror anymore. because everything is trying so hard to be dark and gruesome that you don't have horror movies like this anymore where there's, a lot of camp to it. I mean, even like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies had a lot of camp to them, and
Oh yeah,
you don't see that in
definitely.
like the new ones. The new ones are trying so hard to be edgy and scary that it's just
Yeah,
it lacks that campy heart for me, I guess.
yeah. I'm with you, 100%. I agree. Nice, Eric.
Well, you guys said both of mine. I said it was a fun watch. You can turn your brain off. And then specifically, like, the exaggerated camera movements were really cool. Like, the zooms, zoom here and then zoom here. And, like, he's just doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, it's very much a Sam Raimi movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like Spider-Man 2 has that Raimi feel to it in the operating room
Yeah,
when Doc Ock's octopus arms are first attacking people.
yeah,
It has
Okay,
that
yeah.
very same like sharp camera movements, sharp zooms,
yeah.
all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff that is just so much what Sam Raimi loves to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
absolutely. And I mean, go figure. I kind of have the same answer. I love the cinematography in this movie, is what I said. I feel like from a movie like shooting standpoint, it hasn't aged at all. Because I feel like it could have been. It's very 2024 from like the jump cuts. I mean, we talked about the zooms. A lot of that stuff's coming back, and we see it on YouTube and all these different platforms. And it's very much like a Raimi shot film, movies that they do. And so when I was watching this, I'm like, wow, this feels very relevant considering this is, I mean, obviously the effects are horrible, but I understand
They're
the time.
charming.
Yeah. I had no issue with them. But it feels like it's something that was filmed like yesterday from a cinematography standpoint.
Yeah.
I really have a soft spot in my heart for stop motion animation. So
Yes.
all
Yeah.
the stuff with the skeletons was very
It's so
heartwarming
good
to me. I'm
for
like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, this is the best way we had to do things like that.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
that that ancient Greek movie. I don't remember. Wrath of the Titans. Is the
Wrath
same
of the
way.
Titans.
The original one.
Clash of the Titans.
Clash
Clash
of the Titans. That's
Thank
it.
you, John.
Yep.
Yeah, Clash of the Titans, the original one where they
Yeah, we
are.
searched that at your
It's like
house.
Jason and the Argonauts fighting skeletons and whatnot.
Yeah. And when we used to fool around with it.
Yeah.
And then get bored after like filming
'cause
4
it's
seconds.
ridiculous.
of action.
It's so much work.
Yeah, and we were like 12 and like, this
Look,
is boring.
this 15-second
is stupid.
film.
Right. So yeah, I think we all kind of agree that that was the most charming part about this movie. All right, on to our least favorite part about this movie. I'll go back to Eric.
I had a very nitpicky thing. At the end, when Ash is getting the serum that'll take him back to the future, there's really bad ADR from the priest guy, or like the guy with the long beard.
The Wiseman.
Yeah, the Wiseman. ADR is where you don't record audio on camera and the person on camera
Oh,
comes
yeah.
back into the studio and records over it. But they clearly just changed the lines that he spoke on screen because his mouth did not match at all what he was saying.
Love it.
So that was my nitpicking.
Whole
I
new
didn't
line.
like it. Yeah.
It's awesome. We had a lot of when we used to film stuff. I found some old tapes, and we definitely did that as a joke.
Yeah.
Daniel, what was your least favorite part?
My least favorite part, I guess, is what Eric's least favorite part was. Because I really, this is a movie that's hard for me to like hammer because so much of the stuff is either so bad it's charming
Yeah.
or it's like a conscious decision to do it that way
Yeah,
that it doesn't
agreed.
it doesn't make me go like, oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
As much as something where, it might have had more collaborators on it, or, it was a corporate mandate. This movie is so much more of like a love letter to that character of Ash and, horror.
Yeah.
That it's
So
hard
it was
for me
like-
to, really dunk on it that much.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. John?
It was delightful in its terribleness. I didn't really have anything either because I felt like this movie succeeded in everything it was trying to accomplish, which,
Yep.
not very many objectives. Like, it was funny and fun, like just funny and fun at the same time. The only thing, since we've talked about it a bit, those like snappy jump cuts and zooms sometimes get a little distracting for me, but I understand that's like Raimi's trademark. So
Yeah, I could see that.
that was only briefly where I'm like, okay, that's a lot of cuts.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I didn't really have much either. I mean, I love this movie and this series. It's one of my favorite horror series. If I had to pick, I'd just say the plot is hilariously bad. Really, there isn't one, and it's just him trying to find a way back home by
It's just
finding
him,
some magic
him
book.
walking around doing one-liners.
Yeah,
That's pretty
right.
much it.
It's
Yeah, which
tissue
again-
paper thin.
Yeah, which again, I don't care because I get the movie. But if you didn't like this genre, maybe I get it. Like, if you didn't like action or humor, which I guess shame on you, but some people don't like campy stuff, and so then I can see why that they not like this movie at all. But
Yeah, absolutely. We are in the target demo for this movie.
Yeah,
And we were when we first saw it.
I know.
We were
Yeah, we
teenagers.
kind of grew up with it.
Yeah. So it was very much made for us.
Yeah,
But,
agree.
it's very... John said it the best, I think, when he said it succeeds at everything it sets out to do.
I
Which
agree.
isn't a lot.
It's not trying to blow your mind or make plot twists or come up with this big grand scheme. I mean, really, it's pretty basic and
Yeah. It's
It
not
succeeds.
commenting on the human condition.
no, it's not at all. It's really literally good versus evil. Like at its
and
most
not even
basic
that good.
part. No, right. That's true. He's not that good.
Yeah, it's a awesomely simple premise that you're just like accept it. Like, all right, he got sucked back in time.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
accept
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
He
Trying
wants to
to
go
get
home.
home.
He has to get the MacGuffin. Boom.
Yep,
Yep,
exactly.
I got it.
All right, next we've got who won the movie. So who went literal and who went theoretical here? Let's go with Daniel.
Bruce Campbell.
Okay,
I had Bruce Campbell as well.
nice.
He got to film another movie with his buddy. He got to, just show up, crack one-liners, do a little bit of action where he looks cool, play the fool a lot, and go home. Like, that's a fun movie to work on.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I just said Bruce Campbell because, it's him.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add to that, I actually found another random ass fact that this is his only, or this is his, I guess not only his last, but really the series of The Evil Dead are the only movies where he's the actual main character. And any movie. I mean, yeah, Burn Notice, right, as a TV show. Movie-wise, this is it for him.
Well, Burn Notice, he's not even the main character.
Yeah, that's true. He's like the side guy.
Yeah, he's
So-
the sidekick, and he's.
Right.
I love that TV show, and the
he's
only reason
great
I
in it.
started watching it is because he was on
After-
it, and he's
Yeah.
great.
Yep. And it was after Raw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that helped a lot too. It was
That's
watch
fine.
wrestling for 3 hours,
Yeah.
then I get to watch
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell and
Yeah.
what was that guy's name?
I can't remember the main guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this
Jeffrey
is
Donovan.
Jeffrey Donovan
Yeah,
and
that's
his
it. That's
sunglasses.
it. Yep. So yeah, this was it for him. So yeah, I think that's a fair answer. I said Sam Raimi because after this is really when his career takes off. He did For the Love of the Game after this. He did the Spider-Man movies, obviously, and right after this, he did The Quick and the Dead, which I know John and I really like. And so
Hey, I
really,
didn't
this
know
kind of
you were with me on Team Quick and the Dead.
oh, that movie's so good. But so like this was like the beginning of his career, really. And The Evil Dead, the first one might have been the one that put him on the map, but kind of like we talked about with some of these other guys, this was the one that really jump started. I mean, he took a kind of a larger budget. This and he was working on Darkman around the same time. Yeah. These two movies came out around the same time.
Yeah, I thought for some reason I thought Darkman was what got this funded.
In a way. So what I read that they both had pretty low budgets, and this one might even had a lower budget than Darkman. But I think this one kind of did open the door for because they were battling the studios. There was some like background stuff, and this did get funded, I think, through Darkman. So yeah, Darkman was kind of the other movie, but really, again, that kind of was a flop. And this was even a box office flop. I don't know the exact numbers, but I did read that it was a flop, which doesn't surprise me. So kind of cool that he even took, or based on this, or from this, ended up making the Spider-Mans. Like, pretty big gamble by Sony, right?
Well, it became a cult classic. So by the time he actually started filming Spider-Man,
yeah, it was
these movies were held in much higher
5 years.
regard.
Yeah, 5 years.
When they
Evil
came
Dead
out.
was true. And Evil Dead was even more. I mean, I think it came out in 81, 82.
Yeah.
John, who'd you have?
Winner?
Yeah.
I went with within the movie universe and said that Ash is the winner.
Yep.
Yep.
Because, I mean, he's, superhero, saves the
Duke Nukem.
day, saves the back in the day, and then, I hope this isn't anybody's line, but right at the end of the movie, what's he say? Something
Hail
about
to the-
being king.
Hail to the king, baby.
Yeah, hail to the king, baby.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
other,
the
you
Errol
know,
Flynn moment even. Where
Yeah.
he's fighting on steps with two swords, fighting two different bad guys. That is a classic movie trope from the silent era to the beginning of talkies. So that's even a cool thing that he gets to do.
Yeah. Daniel with the name drop there.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, I like that one. Random ass fact.
Look at the
Appearing
brain on that guy.
randomly. Yeah.
He came to play on Cinema Day.
Well, the movie
Don't
was
ask
so
for much
short
more.
that he had time to do extra research.
It's not a long movie compared to the last one we watched. An hour shorter.
Jesus.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? All right, next category. Favorite song moment or score scene? Yeah, I had that as a question mark because I don't have anything. Eric?
I've got one. It's
All right.
when the skeletons are marching into battle and they're playing their battle song.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
On skeleton instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. This is a very minimalistic score.
Very.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some medieval music, real weak ass background music.
Yeah, but I mean, even there were long
And it's
periods
not
where there
much.
wasn't any music
Yeah.
at all.
Yep. Yeah, I like that answer, Eric. I'll go with that too. John, did you have anything?
Yeah, and it was before, it was the first time there was really music in the movie, and it was just them preparing for battle, so you had and it's pretty generic anyway, but I was like, oh my gosh, there's actually music.
I know.
When the good guys are preparing, you hear like some noble, like
Yeah.
good guys are getting ready. And then when the Army of Darkness is marching, I can't remember if it's the exact same. Balloons.
Where's your balloon?
Oh, I didn't get one this week. I thought about it when I was at Family Dollar. But there's like a, very well done, but also generic, like bad guy theme. It's like, ooh, the baddies are marching. And I think later in that part is what Eric's talking about, where they play like drums on skulls and a little flute of a femur.
Yeah.
So not a lot of music to pick from.
And that makes sense with the budget they had, right? I mean, that was pretty that wasn't very something that they thought about really or needed.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they just like had something stock for when
I'm
they're like,
sure.
all right, we need music to fill in this part.
Though I think I don't know the exact relation, but I do know that Danny Elfman had something to do with the music to some Evil Dead aspect. Maybe it was that song. I don't know. I read something about Danny Elfman having some sort of relation, so I'm not 100% sure how he relates to the Evil Dead series, but I think he had something to do with something in the universe. Maybe it's that song.
I like the finite fact right there.
Yeah. I just saw Danny Elfman. I was like, oh, I know him. So do your own research too, I guess. Somebody else.
I don't know. That could be right.
Whoever's listening, look it up.
Yeah.
Sam Raimi or Danny Elfman. All right.
Yeah,
So
if anybody can correct Matt.
please do, because it happens all the time. Next we've got, does this movie get made now? I'm going to say no. What do you guys think?
I also said no.
I said no chance.
Yeah, it sounds like something that's sort of going away, like you guys were talking about. Like horror
Daniel
is
hit
all
it already.
serious now.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
kind of...
I think that the only way this would get made is an independent movie financed by themselves, like Raimi did the first Evil Dead, where it was really on him and it was a passion project. No major studio is going to greenlight this.
No chance.
Not a chance in hell.
No. This is just a waste of money to them. I mean, completely. I think I do agree. I mean, yeah, you could have some independent person come out and do it. But I liked what you said earlier about how movies like this aren't really being made because of what John just said as well.
Which I
really
was just paraphrasing you all.
Yeah, right. But I do agree that it has a lot to do with the type of horror we see now. And like some of these tweeners, you don't really know how to categorize them. In movie theater, I don't think movies are getting made like that anymore, the tweener types. You're really getting put into a box with what movies you're getting, and you're supposed to feel that way. Like the humor is just humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The comedies now are just straight like there's nothing. There's not a lot of mix of horror and humor, and when there is, it's not done in this way, right? Like it's more of a social commentary. Like a Get Out has some humor to it, but it's very immersed in social commentary.
Yeah.
This again is just about nothing, which again doesn't really get made now.
Yeah, that was going to be my point. Is that like nothing gets made anymore without something to say,
Exactly.
except superhero movies,
right? And even they try. Like there's some hints, but this, I just can't see it. And the only way I think it would get made is if it was just a remake. Some bigger or newer director wanted to pay some homage to to Sam Raimi or something. I don't know.
But even then,
you
I don't
know?
think it gets made with the comedic edge.
Nah,
I didn't
no
see.
chance.
I didn't watch the TV show Ash versus the Evil
No,
Dead
me neither.
because I don't have Showtime. So I don't know the tone of it. But he was on that show.
Yeah, he was. It was still
Bruce
him.
Campbell was. So
Right.
I would think it probably has at least some tonal
I think it's
relationship to the
extremely
original trilogy.
similar. Yep. I think it's extremely similar. I even read that like the way it ended was almost identical to the way this one ended.
Okay.
But I didn't watch it. So yeah, I cannot see this one getting made. Which it's funny because a lot of the movies that we've talked about lately, it's like either recent or we've agreed that it should get made. This one, it's just a different kind of movie.
Yeah.
Just different and enjoyable for that reason.
Yeah.
Very unique.
Yeah,
Variety is the spice of life, baby.
it is. I think we're having a good variety lately here. We went from a convict movie to whatever this is. All right. Next, we've got favorite line from the movie. I did not have the one that John said, but obviously that's an amazing one. And
Oh, well,
we
that's
could-
not my answer officially.
No, Eric raised his hand first, though.
Yeah, I only have one
I
that
got
I
a
wrote down,
bunch.
but it's, well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Yeah, nice. That would be you and John quote for sure.
Oh, that's what I had. That was my official answer. It was just,
Yeah, I knew.
and then the rest of it.
Yeah.
I might as well just say the rest, which is,
Finish it.
he's like, I won't get it verbatim, but he says, the only thing you're leading is Jack and shit.
Yeah.
And Jack just left town.
Yep. Yep. That was one of mine. That part. Yeah, you ain't leading. I had Yoshi bitch. Let's go.
I had a lot of the classics down. I had Hail to the
Same.
King Baby. I had
Yeah.
Groovy.
Groovy, I love that part.
Yeah, Groovy.
Give me
this-
some sugar, baby.
This is my boomstick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
a
a
good
good
one.
going.
Some of the
I had that
classics. And then the one that wasn't, right off the top when I think about this movie line is, honey, you got real ugly.
I love that line. Yes. I had I had all of those as well. I also did write the shop smart, shop S smart. You got that after he gets out of the execution pit.
Yeah.
And then I really liked good, bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
I love that monologue he gives about the shotgun right before he says, this is my
Yeah.
boomstick.
Yeah.
But there was no way I was going to remember that whole spiel.
Then doesn't he finish it by saying, like, you can find it in sportswear or whatever?
Yeah.
The sports section.
The sport, yeah.
Sporting goods.
Yeah, I loved the
Sporting
little
goods,
one
there
he
you
did at the end where he goes, he's announcing himself like, he's like, I'm Ash of Housewares.
Yes. I even like the end where he's like, so I could have led them, and like his little monologue there at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could have taken him over and been the leader of them or whatever he said.
But I've got a life here.
Yeah. That's like the only social commentary. It's like so minor. And it's the the part that's not even immersed into the actual time travel. It's the future tense. Any other ones?
They're like, hey, let's have a real human emotion here. at
Yeah,
the end.
exactly.
I'm glad to be home.
Any other ones?
Nah, I think we nailed them all.
I think
Yeah,
we
me
said the
too.
whole script.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And yep, we covered it.
All right. Well, there's quite a few of these too, but we've got most rewatchable scene. Daniel?
I will go with the scene where Ash has said the words wrong. He trips and falls over, and then skeletons just beat the
Yes.
crap out of him. That whole scene is so funny.
Yep.
He does the whole Three Stooges like,
I was gonna say it's
and then
very
they point him with
physical.
both fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
Yes.
just so funny.
Yep.
The hands grab him and bash his
his-
head on the rock.
And his face gets real elongated there at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
that
yeah,
whole,
that's right,
That
when he was
whole
picking
scene
up
with
the-
him
Oh.
and the skeleton hands is just so funny to me. That
You just made me think of another line. Sorry. Go ahead and finish.
no, go ahead, Johnny.
Well, it's during where he's trying to pick the book, and then that one sucks him in. It's a big a big mess, and after all the chaos is over, he just says, "Wrong book."
Yeah, that is good. Nice.
Yeah, I'm
go
gonna
ahead,
go
Eric.
because I just said the scene when he's choosing between the Necronomicon books and like that whole thing.
Nice.
Yeah, that scene where he keeps shaking his face and it's
Yeah,
going
and
like
it's
different. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I again, there's quite a few. My favorite has to be the well scene, and just how they throw the chainsaw down to him, and he just Mario styles like powers up, and it just locks in. It doesn't get much better than that in an action movie, and based on her ridiculousness scale. So yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite rewatchable scenes. John?
So my top answer was the skeleton Three Stooges bit.
Nice. Everybody else had that.
Yeah, I think Daniel, that was your answer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A couple others I like. The one with the pit. I don't know. It's a different part of that pit scene where I just get such a kick out of them throwing the person in, and then there's a bunch of shots of people just leaning in and looking over.
I absolutely love that. And,
the big blood guys are.
Yes, I absolutely love that.
The one
and then
lady's
one that-
just munching off a loaf of bread, like taking big bites from a loaf of bread.
And one that Daniel already referred to, where he's getting his new hand. I thought that was cool. Getting it all fixed up and then ending with groovy.
I also like the end scene, how he kills that last lady or whatever. She comes back, and how it's like everybody's freaking out, and he just destroys
in
her.
the present time.
Yeah, in present time.
He throws the rifle in the air. It does a
Yeah.
spin so he can jump on a shopping cart and catch it. He could have just jumped on the shopping cart, but instead he spins the gun in the air and catches it. And then one-hander is using it repeating style.
And
Oh,
she
yeah.
like bounces off the trampoline from the sporting goods.
Yeah, I didn't want to look into it or
Oh, so
anything because,
good.
again, this is not supposed to be realistic. But I'm like, he got that gun. It was either loaded or he loaded it really quick, and he took a lot of shots with it.
Well, with his shotgun, he does the same exact thing. You see him loading 2 shells, and he immediately shoots like 4.
Yeah.
That kind of actually made me think of something right there. In Zombieland, I wonder if there's any influence from the director of Zombieland from this movie, because in Zombieland, if you remember, like a lot of scenes they use humor based on where they are, like the market, the grocery store or whatever, and maybe even a sporting goods store, I think, as well. I wonder if there was any like not necessarily referencing, but like I wonder if that was an influence for him, because that end scene really does make me think of Zombieland.
I'm
Right.
sure
It
if you're
uses those.
Yeah, I'm sure if you're in like the horror comedy subgenre,
Yeah, exactly.
these movies have to have inspired you at least a little bit. They might not be like
Agreed.
shot for shot recreations that you're doing, but there is definitely going to be some influence
Has to
from
be.
these movies.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, Zombieland was probably the last good one that was like this,
Right.
like from a
I
comedy.
couldn't
horror.
even think of an example before you found that one, or Shaun of the Dead is another one.
Yeah, that was a little before that, but Daniel.
It's like
There's
25th
one other
anniversary of
scene that we have to talk about,
Yeah.
and that is the miniature ash scene.
Oh,
That scene is
yes.
also amazing, with all the
Yes.
little ashes running around, poking him in the butt
So
with,
good.
Yeah.
slamming his face to the top
What
of the
the-
burning stove.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
has to
And he-
spatula himself up.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
My favorite is when the one jumps down his throat and then he pours fucking boiling water just down his gullet.
Yeah, you
Like,
like
take
that?
that, little guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
That
So
is an
good.
absurd scene, though.
It's
I was
so
just
good.
watching it. I was like, "What the fuck?" Is
yeah. Who
this?
thought of this? Right.
It's so slapstick. It's
Yeah,
it's exactly what I want from this movie.
Yep.
yeah.
100%. All right. Next, we've got most likely to be the off-screen drunk. Eric,
Kevin.
where you at, Kevin?
I didn't
Where you at?
really have anyone. I'm gonna guess Ash.
There's
Fair.
one real character in this movie.
Yeah,
I said I only said something different because I know that's the
Ash
answer.
loses his hand. His
Yeah.
girlfriend turned into a deadite who he had to kill. He got stuck in the past with a bunch of people who hated him and tried to kill him. Then he had to fight more deadites. Then he finally gets home to his own time without a hand
Yeah,
and
got one more Deadite.
has to fight another deadite. That dude just wants a drink.
I I went off there a different tangent and just said I'll go with the she bitch because that's all she does is make weird alcoholic potions. It's a stretch, but
She's
Yeah.
definitely been getting high on her own supply.
I'm sure she's got something going on. All right. Well, anybody is that a pretty?
I had the wise man.
Oh, there you go.
He's,
Nice.
You know, a mystic conjure. He's probably got chemical help with that.
Well, I like when
chemical help
Ash.
to get the inspiration. You know.
Yeah,
Right.
I liked when Ash was trying to talk to Sheila, and he was like trying to be scientific about things, like talking about concoctions or whatever. And she
Your
was-
primitive mind
Yeah,
couldn't understand compositions.
yeah, I like that line a lot. Too. It's like so like dorky. All
And
right.
the fact that he doesn't know what he's talking about makes it so much funnier. The fact
Exactly.
that he like
He's-
starts off like, you wouldn't know anything about the alloys and the
Yeah.
things.
Things with molecular structures.
Yeah.
So there's not really a lot here, but I'm curious if there's any casting. So next we have casting our friends. All right, Daniel, go for it.
I have 3.
All right, that's more
Three
than
That's
me.
people.
3 more than me.
For number 1, I have Ash, and I cast myself as Ash for a very specific reason.
Oh, nice.
Ash talks a lot of shit about how awesome he is, but deep down, he is a coward. He runs away so often in this movie. He does not want to be a hero. He
Yeah.
just has to be because it's the only way for him to get back to his own time.
He's forced into it. Yeah, for sure.
There is no part of him that's like, yeah, this is cool. This is what I want to do. No,
Yep.
he does not want to do it at all. He hates it. He just
That's
wants to
funny.
go home and work at S-Mart. And instead, he has to be a hero.
Nice.
For Sheila, I have Dave 'cause hot. And then for evil Ash, I have Kevin because, of course, Kevin's my adversary. Kevin's the antithesis to everything I am.
That's hilarious. Oh, that's funny. Nice.
Yeah, that's good.
Well
Also,
done.
if any of us would want the Book of Darkness, it would be Kevin.
Yeah, that's probably true.
He'd be like, no, but I'd use it for good reasons, guys.
Yeah.
I heard there was instructions on how to build a wall in there.
If I
dark wall.
say this incantation when I put up the wall, then it'll stay there forever. Oh my god, guys, somehow I summoned the literal devil.
Whoop,
pretty good
everyone
Kevin.
was warning me, but oopsie daisy.
I would just like to to call back to the last episode when John cast Kevin as Mystique because everyone's chasing after her, telling her, no, don't do this. Because
Yeah, that's fair.
That might be the most perfect casting that we've had on this show ever.
Yeah.
I got
Kevin would
Kevin
also
cast
be
in this one
annoyed
again.
when you tell him, like, these are the words you have to say. You have to say them very
yeah.
specifically. Now I'm going to tell you them. Yes. Now say them back. Okay. They are this. Say them back. What do you mean? What do you mean you know? You don't know. You just said it one time. Kevin, no.
I
don't-
basically said them.
Literal devil. That is Kevin.
Yep. For sure. Eric, you said you didn't have anybody?
I didn't have anyone.
I had one, and it was Sheila is Daniel for the heel turn. That's it.
That's good. That's good.
John, did you have anybody?
I am surprised I was able to come up with some
Oh, God, here we go.
casting. Daniel is the wise man. He would know all the lore that none of us do.
All the Necronomicon lore, like, this is why you have to do it this way, because back in the 1200s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dave is the king. He doesn't do much besides like look good with his flowy mullet. And
That's
so
fucking
I would love to see
great.
Dave in that hairdo.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
John.
Matt is Ash. I thought this when he's helping them fight the evil of the dead. He's directing them, leading them, getting them all ready. Matt's our coach like that. Eric, I was running out of like characters that needed cast. I first had Eric as the Dead King just because I was running out of
Reasons.
But I decided to have Eric be the blacksmith because he's already got the shaved bald head. He just needs the guy's long mustache. And he would also be one to help us tinker, especially if it's an electric guitar.
Yeah. That's
Good
true.
answer.
Kevin is Duke Henry because he's ghosted for most of the movie and then he comes bombing back at the end.
Yeah, just like the podcast. He might show up on any
That's his
episode.
cue.
You never know.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, that
Well
was good.
done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You made something out of nothing. That was not a very
So when do we
heavily-
start filming?
Yeah, is this the movie we're making?
Yep.
All right. So now, going off of that, now we have another one where it's going to be pretty minimal, but we have, is this a podium role for any of the top billed cast members? So we have, I guess, two top billed in this case. First, we have Bruce Campbell.
Yep.
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 He's I did look through his IMDb, and boy, he's in a lot of movies, but as I mentioned earlier, this is it from a main role standpoint. He was Elvis in Bubba Hotep, if you've ever seen that. Which is
No,
like
aren't there a
he's
bunch of Elvises
kind of-
in that? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a really, really weird movie. I can't even begin to explain it. There's a
We'll
dude
do
who
it
thinks
for the
he's
next pod.
JFK. No. It's not a bad movie, but I don't know. So he was a coach or one of the teachers in Sky High, if you remember that movie. I think it
Oh,
was a
yeah, he
Disney
was.
Movie. It was a good movie,
Yes.
like a mutant type movie.
Matt, you watched that over here with me.
I did.
I remember when we
Yeah.
first watched that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, that was, and
He
he
was
was one
the
of the
gym
coach.
teacher.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a gym teacher. Yep. But other than that, yeah, this is it for him. The only other person really that really has an IMDb is Mbeth Davids, who's Sheila. And really the only other movie that I found her in that I recognized was she is Miss Honey in Matilda.
Aw,
Oh, okay, yeah.
that's
That
a
one I
nice-
didn't recognize at the time, but when I was
Yeah.
going through her IMDb, I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit. Apparently, I was reading something about her in relation to this movie, and she was talking about how this pretty much scarred her from making movies, or it almost did.
Oh my gosh.
Like, she was like, I can't fall, like, I can't act, and it was scary, and all this stuff, like, messed with her head, and she was like, couldn't do anything for a while.
Okay, damn.
Yeah, which is probably why we don't know her very well. But she did.
When did Matilda
which,
come out?
Which
Before or
I would
after
say
this?
95, 96,
Okay.
a couple years after.
It's a good
this.
movie and a good
Yeah.
character.
Yeah, she's a good character in that. But I'm kind of surprised she didn't take off after Miss Honey, honestly. But
Oh yeah.
who knows?
It might have been
Alright.
the age thing, because that
Yeah.
was Hollywood, where you turned 28 and you were done.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know how she aged either. No idea.
Very
And-
strict on the age thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's how Hollywood was for a
it
long
used to
time.
be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's becoming now where women can work through their entire careers. It used to be you were either young and hot or
Yeah.
old,
Right.
and those were the only two ages that you could work.
Yeah. And
In the Hollywood universe, there's a huge gap from like 28 years old to like 60, where no women exist.
it's kind of true. It used to be. Now you can be hot in your 50s. Science.
Oh yeah, that's what I was
Science?
kind of trying to poke fun at. Is like that's
Yeah, you're
how
right.
strict they are in Hollywood with what's too old.
Right. Right.
There was like one middle-aged actor, and it was Meg Ryan. Like after that, it was like, she took all those roles, and then every other actress was either young or old.
Well, we'll wrap this up with a more positive note in this case. And it's an interesting case because it was supposed to be released in the year 1992 or the summer of 92, but ended up not being released until February of the next year, which apparently Raimi and Ash or Bruce Campbell had some strong opinions on. They wanted it released in the summer, and somehow it became some battle, and so they ended up. It was something with rights and money and all this stuff. But anyways, it ended up being released in 1993. Since we've already done a podium movie for 93, we decided we're going to do our top podium movies for the year 1992.
Also, it debuted in '92.
Debuted. Yeah.
It didn't release, but it got its premiere in '92.
It's
so
a
we can
really
count it.
bizarre situation because I was looking at like some of the awards that it had won, and some of the awards that it won was in 1994. So like this
Okay.
debuted in 1992 and was still being kind of talked
Considered?
about. Yeah, considered 2 years later just because of the way it got released or it got put out to everybody. So John, give us your top three in whatever order you want.
Yeah, I don't know how to actually rank them 1 through 3.
You do this. So you put one movie in 3, and then you put another movie in 2, and then you put another movie in 1.
All right, got it. So for 3, I'm gonna put. I'll put this at number 3 because it's on my podium. There was lots of good movies, lots of movies from my childhood in this year. I ended up limiting myself to one nostalgia pick.
Yeah, that was my thing when I looked at this year. I was like, oh, nostalgia.
Yeah.
I know. For sure.
So then at silver, Glengarry Glen Ross, another like
Wow. Dark.
bite-sized movie with like very interesting considering what the movie's about, like
Always be closing.
salesmanship.
Yeah.
Yeah, always be closing. And then my top movie, for nostalgic reasons in a big way, is Batman Returns.
Nice.
Nice.
Very nice. I didn't see
Daniel.
that coming.
Daniel does not agree.
Nah.
Where did John get it wrong?
Batman Returns. A lot of good Batman movies.
I just meant your list, but yeah, I know.
I've made my feelings on Batman Returns very clear. No, this does not make my podium.
Wow.
At number 3, I have the classic comedy Wayne's World.
Yeah.
At number
missed
2,
that.
I have the classic Disney animated picture Aladdin.
Nice.
And at number 1, I have Unforgiven.
Interesting.
Oh, that's Clint Eastwood, right?
That won Best Picture this year.
Yeah.
Ah.
Nice.
It's hard for me to argue with that. I love a Western. I don't like how long Westerns are, but I will sit and watch a Western
And
like once a year. I'll be like,
Unforgiven
yeah, I'll watch.
isn't
3
super
hours.
long compared to some of the traditional ones either.
Yeah,
if I recall.
yeah. Compared to a lot of Westerns, it's not, but it's still, is a Western. So
Sure.
it falls into that category of I'll watch one a year.
Yeah.
I'll really enjoy it. And
Yep.
then I won't have that itch to scratch for another, year.
That's fair. Eric?
This does not make my podium. My podium, number 3 is The Mighty Ducks.
Nice.
Number
Good
2,
one.
thank you. Number 2 is Home Alone 2.
Nice.
Another good
I
one.
love that movie.
Let's go.
And then number 1 is Sister Act,
Oh, nice.
because Sister Act is possibly the best movie ever,
Wow.
scientifically.
You know that's not true.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice. Jesus didn't say
We
that.
know
I
your
said
favorite
that.
movie. We've already done
Yeah,
your favorite movie.
that's true. That's true.
So it could be the second best movie.
Yeah, it could be the second. Okay.
At a
Jesus
close
didn't
second.
say that.
I said that.
So movies we didn't mention. This was kind of a stacked year in a weird way. I wouldn't say top heavy, but it definitely had some quality titles. We had
Yeah.
Dracula, Reservoir
Bram, yeah.
Dogs. Nobody mentioned. Son of a Woman. Nobody mentioned, and Candyman as well was a great horror movie from this year. In terms of this movie, it did not make my podium. My number 3 is A League of Their Own.
Yep.
Yeah, of course, I'm going with sports.
Yeah.
Yeah. A great
number
movie
2
also.
is Unforgiven. I also
Oh,
like
shit.
that movie. It's a Western and a revenge story. A great combo. And Morgan Freeman's great in that, and Gene Hackman is a villain. It's pretty awesome. And my number 1, I go back to sports, and White Men Can't Jump.
Yep. Also, I'm surprised none of y'all said Three Ninjas, just on a pure nostalgia.
I thought about it.
I was never a big Three Ninjas guy. Eric?
I
Were
was
you a
huge.
Surf Ninjas guy?
Yeah, more Surf Ninjas for sure.
Oh, Surf
Game Gear.
Ninjas was awesome too.
Yeah, Game Gear all day.
I watched the fucking shit out of Three Ninjas when I was a kid, and I didn't mention it. I had to kick it off for Batman Returns, and I didn't want to steal it in case someone else picked it. But I saw that so many times as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. I went with like movies that I could watch right now
Okay.
still and
exactly.
like and not be like, oh, okay, this is a kid movie. I get it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't. Three Ninjas right now would be maybe something I show my kids.
Yes,
Batman Returns,
I've-
will watch every day.
Yeah. I've watched Three Ninjas recently, and it is definitely a kid movie.
Yeah, I watched Mighty Ducks 2 the other day, and it's my favorite of that series. And I still was like, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It won you over as a kid, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
Reservoir Dogs was a hard one for me to leave off.
me too.
Yeah.
And Batman Returns for me.
That's my favorite early Tarantino movie is
It's
Reservoir
good.
Dogs. Like I
This
like
was
it
a
more than
tough
Pulp
year.
Fiction even.
I
And
Yeah. Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like I'm in the minority there.
Yeah, I like Pulp Fiction. I think Kevin
Yeah.
likes Reservoir Dogs more as well. This was a tough year. I hated leaving off Aladdin and Batman Returns.
Yeah.
And Wayne's. I mean, yeah, Wayne's World was another one.
Yeah, Wayne's
It was
World's
really
awesome.
tough. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was tough leaving some of those off.
It's like this year was, and it was an assortment of movies too.
Yeah.
It wasn't like one genre. You know, you have those years where sometimes one genre is all that you hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
then you have this year where it's like it could be, you know, a kid movie, it could be an animated movie, it could be a horror comedy, it could be a straight up horror movie, it could be a, you know,
and-
comic book movie. Like there's so much. And
Yeah.
Lethal Weapon 3 came out this year.
Yep.
Mm.
And I love the Lethal Weapon series.
Yeah, they're
so
great.
that was another tough one to leave off.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think from a best picture standpoint, a lot of times we leave it off and not necessarily go for the Oscar bait, but two of us had it on our podium. And
Well, I
sometimes
think-
we do if it's a consensus, but
The thing is, this isn't really an Oscar bait movie, though. This,
Oh, no, I
this
agree.
movie is just an Oscar worthy movie,
sure.
which
I agree.
is, I guess the idea is that Oscar bait has a plot or premise that's already baked in to already get it up to the Oscar level.
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
something like Unforgiven is just so good at what it does that
Yeah.
it elevates to the Oscar level.
Sure. There are definitely themes or genres that get made now. Like La La Land's, it didn't win Best Picture, but it has a theme, right? It's breaking the fourth wall, or it's talking about LA and trying to make it, and it's all about Hollywood. So Hollywood loves to talk about Hollywood. That is
Hollywood.
And they're
Oscar
like,
bait.
it's
That
so
is
true.
Hollywood
very-
That is
loves
so
autofellatio.
true.
That is
Right. That is Oscar bait. There's a lot more, more PC things, or there's certain themes or topics that are gonna get a lot of Oscar bait because of what they are. I agree with
Right.
that completely.
Right.
This was just a Western movie that Clint Eastwood had
really
to do.
freaking good. You know?
I don't think I've seen it. So I
Oh,
don't
Me
know
either.
That's
to do
awesome.
Sounds
Gotta
like
see it.
Yeah. Same
Oh,
here.
John, totally up your alley for sure.
I saw
It's a
the
good one,
Fistful of
though.
Dollars trilogy is on Amazon for free right now.
Oh, nice. Oh, I haven't seen that since college.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen the whole thing, but yeah, westerns are
We
something
need to
that
do
I
a
can
Western.
get into
All right,
because
now-
I can.
Yeah, let's
Wow.
do a
Do
Western
Western.
next week.
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay.
Okay,
Let's do it.
well that settles it.
All right.
got
Well,
all
thanks for
excited.
tuning in to our show. We'll see what
Yeah.
we come up with for next week. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, follow our time travel tournament. We've got Army of Darkness and Groundhog Day coming out this week, so be on the lookout for that and keep voting. We're again getting quite a bit of votes, especially on this movie. I think it's a testament to it being such a big cult classic. And thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.